What's up, growers? Welcome to Coral's Gardening. My name is Coral, and today I'm going to show you how you can easily propagate your lavender plants to get multiple of them from a few cuttings of the mother plants. So let's go into the garden and I'll show you how it's done. So here's a little lavender bush that I got and that I planted last year. It didn't have much growth, but I think it will do the trick for us to be able to show you how you can propagate. So the first thing that you want to do is you really want to go and get to your lavender before it actually starts to bloom, before it starts having flowers. I'll show you at the front. I got some lavender plants as well. That actually have already a lot of flowers on it, and we'll basically experiment with trying to propagate from both plants. But if you really look, how you want to know which cuttings is actually going to work for you to root is you want to look at the plant and you really want to pick a cutting and cut it right where the old growth and the new growth is meeting. So I'm trying to find the right one here to show you. This one is perfect here. So as you can see over here, that brown branch here, the brown colored branch here, this is the old growth, and here this is the new growth. It's a lot greener, it's a lot softer as well. So where I want to cut right below here, so that I have a little bit of that old growth when we're actually going to put that into our rooting mix. So I'm going to cut them through. I'm just going to use those pruners so that I can have a really clean cut. You don't want to use like this is just a thinner scissors. You don't want to use like your big pruners to cut it, just so that you can be a little bit more in detail here when you get your cut. All right, so I'll get my cut and then I'll see you in a few minutes. So we're now at the front of the garden, and as you can see, this lavender plant has flowered quite a fair bit. It really started about 3 weeks ago. I went on holidays for 1 week and I came back to this. This is just amazing to come back to. But you want to do exactly the same process here, right? You want to take a cut right below where the old wood meet the new wood, and if we look here, we got the new wood, the new growth starting here, and we got the old growth down here. So I want to cut just about here and plant it. Now, as I said, this is already flowered. So what you want to do, and I'll show you afterwards, but what you want to do, you want to actually take this flower out when you plant your cutting. The reason why is because when the plant started to flower, it basically pushes all the energy into the flower so that it can get the seed and it can basically thrive and reproduce itself, rather than putting energy into the vegetative growth. All right, so we want to cut that off so that we can redirect the plant into survival really, and put this energy back into growing those roots at the bottom. All right, so once again I'm going to cut. So I got two really good cuttings from my plant in the backyard, and here I'm going to get another couple of cuttings from this plant here. And you want to take a little bit from the outside, a little bit from the middle, just so that you have a mix of different wood, just so you have better success in your propagation. All right, I'll see you in a minute. So here we are again. Like I said, we don't want this branch here to put all its energy that it has stored into the flower. So we're actually going to cut off this flower out. So you may want to keep that. It smells amazing, really. And what you want to do, and I kind of did that already here, you want to go and strip out any leaf that you may have growing at the bottom of your twig, of your branch that you selected, just so that the plant doesn't actually rot in the soil, because we're going to plant that in the soil in a minute. And so here I'll show you how we do that. You can just use your fingernails and just go along the branch and just basically remove any lower leaves here. And I'll do the same for all of the different twigs that are selected. All right. Okay. So next, what you want to do is you basically can use a potting mix. You can use a propagating mix. It's really up to you. which kind of mix you want to use. I'm gonna use some propagating mix because I got some left over from last season, and I'm just gonna plant that into the pot. So all you need to do really is just like you would plant anything inside the pot, right? Put your mix in. Now do the same inside my other pot. You can see I only got 2 pots. I'm not very good at mathematics, obviously. I do have 4 branches I need to plant. So I'm gonna get another 2 pots of video afterwards. And really, you just want to take your branch and put it in. And look, if you're taking it from 2 different plants, from 2 different environments, you may want to tag them. Now, my 2 lavender plants are different kind. One, which was at the back, is a lot more bushier, has a lot more vegetative growth than the other, so I can see very clearly that these ones come from the plant that I got at the back, and these ones come from the plant that I have at the front of the house. So you do want to pack your mix down in the pot, just so that it's really tight, so that your selected branch is not going to move around. So now that I've put all those twigs that I'd like to root inside the mix, the propagating mix, I've now put them inside my little grow tent that I got here. And I'm doing this so that it gives a constant temperature, so that it gives those plants the best conditions for them to be able to root. And before I go and come back on the video in 4 weeks time to show you the results, I'm gonna water them down. And every day or every second day I will be coming to make sure that the soil is still moist, as you want a constant moisture to those plants for them to root. Alright, I will see you in 4 weeks time. Okay, so let's go and see the results of this experiment. On the right side here, I got the lavender cuttings that I took from the front garden that already had the flowers blooming, right? So I cut off the heads of the flower off the cuttings to try to see if it was actually gonna go and root into the potting mix. So it actually didn't root at all, but the plant is still quite green. So I'm actually going to wait a little bit longer. So it's been 4 weeks now, right? So I'm going to wait a little bit longer and see if it's actually going to root or not. So same on the right, that one at the back here is still quite green as well. So we'll see what happens. Now, looking at the cuttings that didn't have any flowers yet, that was in my back garden in the shade, I'm actually quite surprised to see that one of the cuttings is already shooting a flower, right? Which we didn't have on before. And if I actually look at the bottom here, you'll be able to see that there are some roots coming out at the bottom. And same thing in the second cutting of that same plant. There's a bit more roots here coming out, which is really interesting. So what that means that the experiment actually worked. So now you can go and multiply your lavender directly from cuttings. Obviously, like I said, it seems to have worked better to actually go with cuttings that didn't have any flowers yet going on it, that was still at the vegetative state. It rooted in about 4 weeks. So obviously it's probably rooted more like earlier than 4 weeks, but this is now 4 weeks later, and you can see that the roots actually managed to get quite deep down to be able to get from at the bottom of the pot as well coming out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it inside those pots a little bit longer, just so that the roots really have time to spread inside all the potting mix that I have inside those pots. And then probably in a couple of weeks or 4 weeks time from now, it's probably going to be time to plant in the garden.
And this is all you need for you to start propagating your lavender plants from cuttings tomorrow. All you need is some propagating mix and cut off the plant probably in spring before there's any flowers starting to grow on the plant. You don't want to do that during the dormant stage of the plant, and if you do it when there's already flowers on the plant, you want to cut off the flower head as well and put it inside your propagating mix, and in 3 to 4 weeks you'll be able to have that plant starting to grow some roots, and you'll be able to see that at the bottom of your pot. That's it. If you like this video, just hit that like button, and if you want to see more content like this and support our channel, just hit that subscribe button as well, and I'll see you in the next video.